Welcome back to another AriasWave video, and we're looking at Bitcoin, the BLX chart. So something really stirred me up today. I had a fresh perspective on the chart, on the big pattern, the big picture view of Bitcoin. And to me, this one is seeming a lot more and more each day like it's basically at a top, fifth of the fifth wave. Now, I've presented my previous views to you before, but this one is just, I can't ignore it anymore. It's just beginning to seem like this is it. This is not a D wave at the moment. This is wave 5. D wave, as I've said before, ended back here. Now it makes perfect sense. This, unfortunately, I'm getting Tulip Mania vibes about this thing, right? Because the wave that comes after this is not a correction, it's a 5 wave move to the downside that says goodbye, Bitcoin. I can't help but think that. I could be wrong, could be completely wrong, right? And that would be complete chaos across the board for all cryptos. And so, what if it is? A lot of hopes and dreams flushed down the toilet. That's great, but that's just my opinion, right? In hindsight, my opinion might mean something, it might not. I don't fucking care. But the point is that the pattern seems to me like it doesn't make sense as this being a D wave move, the one since 2022 up until here being a 5 wave move. That doesn't make much sense to me, right? That does not look like a proper 5 wave move. But then also what happened after that doesn't gel right. So the option that I think would be the most probable is that D wave did end down here. We did get a small E wave. Hence why I drew this line. The end of wave 3 to the end of wave 4. So that to me is only possible if there are certain rules that haven't been broken, which I'll get to in just a sec when I go to the BTC chart. But I also want to highlight the 200 period moving average at this point on a weekly chart. It seems to be at the perfect point for wave E to end. Right? It just seems to be like support for now. But when you get 5 waves completed, well, you're done. So just to give you a recap on the entire picture of the whole pattern, wave 2 was absolute bottom after 2008 1 2 happened. Wave 1 and 2 had 1 2 3 4 5. 2017 being the end of wave 3, right? And I suppose that's where this whole thing comes from, right? So, look, let's go to the BTC chart. We'll continue from there. Now, I've had many views on this, but fractally speaking, the D wave was always the one in question to the most recent point in time. So, the A wave, okay, we kind of came to an agreement, or I did, that was just a wave A, even though in XLM it's a 5 wave move. In Bitcoin, it's a zigzag. Everything after that, zigzag. Right? Now, these are not the same patterns in XLM and Bitcoin. They're just not exactly the same. But there's a lot of confluence. The confluence being that in XLM, well, obviously the low came later, but that move was also a zigzag in its entirety, but never made a new all-time high. And that's fine. So we have the next move down, which was a C wave in Bitcoin, whereas in XRP and XLM, it was a zigzag. So those two things are kind of a little bit weird there. After that, let's not get into that because these patterns are not the same. Okay, they're not the same. Bitcoin and XLM and XRP have completely different patterns, right? XLM and XRP have similar patterns. But what I'm trying to say is that according to the Bitcoin count, it appears that the D wave was small and was as a result of, okay, we had a big B wave up, right? But then we had a massive C wave down due to all the fucking scammy shit getting flushed out, right? FTX and all the other shit, right? But then we also went too low. We bounced back up above that 200 period moving average and we came back to retest it. End of wave 4, right? So end of wave 4 means, okay, if this is really the end of wave 4, we need 5 waves up, right? Now, 5 waves up in this case, if it was going to be anything like a wave 3 or something strong that's going to keep going higher and higher and higher, then you'd need to see something a little bit stronger than this shit, right? Let me just highlight for you in like big bright color. This shit is weak as fuck, right? Look how weak that is compared to 2017 move. That's the start of a trend? It's not. It's literally not. It's the end of one, right? So there's two things I want to point out on this chart that give the credence to this idea. So if I go to the daily chart, we'll zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So let's go down to the end of that E wave. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 5 is in progress, right? So let's just say, for example, okay, you think wave 4 ended there? So we have wave 1. A, B, C, D, E. Fine. Is wave 1 longer than wave 3? No, it's not. Did wave 4 go into the price territory of wave 1 and 2? Well, no. It almost touched it, but it didn't go below it. Okay? This is important. It's important. So that line wasn't exactly accurate, so we put it right about there. It never did. It literally just sat above it. So technically, that was a rule that you could have used to trade that, which was pretty crazy. Probably some people did. But in reality, the trade that I placed when I put that trade on back here was a wave 3. Now, what we're seeing now, it appears to be wave 5. Okay. Now, because wave 3 wasn't the shortest, wave 5 can go a little bit longer, but it's definitely a lot choppier. So you can't say that it's a third of a third wave because otherwise it'd be a lot sharper than the actual third wave, right? Look at that sharpness. Very nice. Look at that sharpness. There is none. It's weak as fuck. It's actually not the type of ideal situation if you want to be calling it a third of a third wave. It's not possible, right? So, in my opinion, this is telling me that we're in the last wave now. So measuring the strongest point of that third wave, we're looking at potentially something around at least 140,000. because while the fifth wave is already longer, I think it's already longer than the third wave, right? And it doesn't really matter at this point because there's no rule broken, right? The fifth wave's already longer. There's no rule broken, but that's not the point. The point is that wave five can be longer. Midpoint is around here, using a parallel channel, measuring it out. It's going to go at least 140. Could go 150, 160. Have you seen the Tulip Mania bubble chart? Have you seen the South Sea bubble chart? Right. So the other thing I wanted to sort of mention was that these bubbles tend to have a reversal of a five-wave move. Now, if you understand my Dow Jones S&P big picture view, five waves down is the one that we're expecting. Big crash, big depression, right? Even in oil, expecting a giant wave E down. So, in this particular bubble of a crypto, Bitcoin, fucking tulip coin, whatever you call it, bubble, you're going to get five waves down that goes down below the fucking start of it, basically. If it's to be like one of those type of bubbles, which I think it might be, okay? Could be wrong, could be completely fucking wrong. But you got to think about it from a historical perspective, right? Is Bitcoin really meant to be everything that you thought that it was that it's supposed to be, right? Is it going to be what you think it's meant to be? Is it going to be the be all end all of, store of value, whatever the fuck you think it is? Like Warren Buffett doesn't really think much of it. It doesn't matter what people think. The point is that it's a fucking bubble. And the whole economy is in a state of being in like a kind of everything bubble right now. Interest rates could definitely destroy the whole economy, and I believe they will go to 16% minimum. I think that's starting now. I'm actually going to post an update on that shortly because it's starting to move higher. If you can't see it, don't worry, I'll show you. This shit is happening. But the thing that's most interesting to me is to get this count right. This count seems to be like we're in the fifth wave, and that fifth wave can extend as long as it wants, but it's going to be the last wave before a reversal, right? And it could hit 250,000. It could hit 300,000, 400,000. It could. I mean, look at this line that I've drawn from the end of wave three, top of wave B, or part of it. Like extrapolate that shit out. It could do it, right? There's nothing to say that it can't. This is the beauty of the markets. They are incredibly ridiculous sometimes, right? The end of wave B there, okay, maybe you get like 250,000. That's regardless of where it actually terminates. That's an area of importance in every, like normally in a chart, even if it's just a bit of a dip. But given the actual structure of the pattern, given the AriasWave count, and this type of thinking, this type of weak wave, five wave move, this crappy five wave move that we're seeing that's taken that long, this is not a strong trend, right? It's not a strong trend. So any other crypto that happens to have another leg up will get its leg up, but it'll be the final leg up. It'll be the last leg. For now, for some, completely for others. I don't know. But this, to me, I think will be like a Tulip Mania bust. This shit ain't coming back. Right? It'll be like Terra Luna collapse type bust. Ain't coming back. It might come back for a little bit of a bounce, but it's never going to be what it was. So I believe this is the height of what Bitcoin was always going to reach. I think that all that mainstream attention with the Michael Saylors and all the fucking hype that's been given to it through Wall Street and all the media, I think that shit is a sign of it being a top, because it's always going to be a top when it gets the most media attention, and you got your fucking grandmother telling you that Bitcoin is at $100,000. So just be aware of that. I think it's important. We'll talk again soon.